While Counter-Strike is easily one of the most successful games in the history of the first-person shooter video game genre,
Counter-Strike,
you definitely don't know its entire story. So, let's go back to 1999, when it was first released, and see how it has evolved over time. Counter-Strike Half-Life Mod 1999. Yes, Counter-Strike is over 20 years old, and doing good for itself, for that matter, as it is still competing with and even outshining the biggest names in the gaming industry today. But perhaps what's more surprising is that the game started as a modification for the popular shooter game Half-Life, designed by two gentlemen. Valve Corporation would then acquire the modification's rights from the pair and release the game under Counter-Strike, turning it into a retail product that has since become a darling of the gaming community. Counter-Strike 1.6, 2000. Valve Corporation noticed they had hit the jackpot with 1999's Counter-Strike, so they made more changes to the game to make it perfect for the 2000s. These further enhancements led to the release of Counter-Strike 1.6, which featured better graphics for the time and excellent gameplay. This very iteration of the game introduced the renowned tradition of professional Counter-Strike tournaments. Counter-Strike Condition Zero, 2004. 4 years after the release of Counter-Strike 1.6, Valve Corporation was at it again. On March 23, 2004, the company unveiled Counter-Strike Condition Zero, a newer version that came with several upgrades. Speaking of which, the most notable improvement was the story mode, which allowed you to fight bots, unlock maps, and battle more challenging opponents. Additionally, the game had a multiplayer mode and boasted better textures and character appearance compared to the 2000s version. Counter-Strike Source, 2004. 2004 was a busy year for the game's developers, and here's why. A second version, Counter-Strike Source, was also released in 2004, and it was actually more popular than its predecessor, Counter-Strike Condition Zero. And just in case you are curious why two versions were released in 2004, the word is that Valve had migrated to a newer and more effective game engine. Counter-Strike Condition Zero Deleted Scenes, 2004. A bonus pack, dubbed Counter-Strike Condition Zero Deleted Scenes, was also released in 2004. This time, the significant change was that some levels of the single-player mode were included. Counter-Strike Online, 2008. 4 years after the release of Condition Zero, Valve partnered with Nexon, a South Korean company, and together, they released a spin-off multiplayer first-person shooter game dubbed Counter-Strike Online. Targeted at the Asian market, this version was different from the international Counter-Strike, seeing as it had female characters, many new weapons, and allowed players to purchase items using virtual cash or in-game points. Counter-Strike Global Offensive, 2012. In 2012, Valve Corporation and Hidden Path Entertainment released the fourth game in the Counter-Strike series, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, or CSGO, a multiplayer first-person shooter game. Global Offensive expands upon the team-based action gameplay that it pioneered when it was launched in 1999. It features new characters, maps, weapons, and game modes, and delivers updated versions of the classic Counter-Strike content. Go was released for Windows, Mac OS, Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3. Counter-Strike Online 2, 2013. A year after the release of Global Offensive, Valve and Nexon Korea partnered to unveil Counter-Strike Online 2. This came at the back of 2008's Counter-Strike Online's colossal success all over Asia. It was a heavily modified and expanded version of Counter-Strike, featuring better graphics and user interface. Additionally, the game had updated modes, maps, and weapons. Counter-Strike Nexon Zombies, 2014. In 2014, Nexon and Valve adapted the essence of CS to the world of the undead. As you could probably tell, here players could fight in an endless battle between humans and zombies instead of terrorists. But the gameplay was a bit different, unlike Left 4 Dead or similar games. Everyone starts out as a human at the beginning of the round, and some players are infected after a few seconds. After that, each zombie can infect other players by touching them, and the round ends when either the zombies or the humans win. The game has nearly 20 game modes, about 60 maps, and tons of customizable weapons for battling the undead. Counter-Strike Global Offensive Danger Zone, 2018. 4 years after the unveiling of CS Zombies, Danger Zone dropped. This was a fast-paced battle royale game mode, built on CSGO's tactical gameplay where players use their skill, wits, and resources to fight and remain the last man standing. Essentially, 18 players are dropped into a black site. They find what they can, order what they need, and prepare for anything. At any moment, you are either fighting or taking flight. Counter-Strike Danger Zone came with a wider selection of weapons for players. Counter-Strike Global Offensive, 2012 to present. Now, Valve hasn't released any title for Global Offensive since 2012. Even so, the corporation has constantly been working to make the gameplay better than ever before, and introducing new things every day. Counter-Strike Global Offensive has had tons of upgrades to date, and as of April 2022, it had 1.01 million peak concurrent players on Steam. And now over to you guys. Which is your favorite release in the Counter-Strike series? Drop your comments down below. With that, it's a wrap. One last thing, hit that subscribe button to not miss future videos. You're fantastic. Bye!